Alright guys, so a quick update video here on the KababFPV Babytooth that I built, it was probably about a little more than a month ago. So I put this parts onto a different frame here. This is the Sanchez Airframe that was designed by Dave C. FPV. You can get this on Thingiverse and obviously have this cut by CNCmadness. The main thing about this frame is that there's obviously no back hole here for mounting the back of the flight controller board. So, and it is a little bit lighter than the standard Babytooth frame. This is a 2mm cut, I believe. Probably on the one that's go to a 1.5mm. I may do that for a future video, but let me just show you how much this weighs now. And if I remember right, it weighed about 41 grams before, and now with this new setup here, we're coming in at 38.5 grams. So what's that? 2.5 grams less weight. Yeah, so it's pretty significant. And the reason obviously the weight went down is the frame is lighter because it has less mass here in the back. But because there's no cutout, or there's no basically mount point here in the back here, I can flip the board back over. So you saw in the original video, which I'll link down in the description, that the board was upside down because on the Kabab frame there's no hole for the USB port, so you have to point the USB port up. But what I've done is I've basically flipped the board back over again so that the port comes out of the bottom. And the other thing it allowed me to do is also to remove the receiver. I was using an XM receiver because using the stock receiver on here was resulting in some bad range, because with the board flipped over, the antenna was basically in the bottom plate of the carbon, so the signal was pretty bad. But now that the flight controller is flipped back over again, you can see I put the antenna like this, and it is got good reception. The other thing that I did was, which added weight, I think, is I changed the VTX antenna here. As you can see, I put this, one of these whip antennas on here onto the soldering pads for the VTX, and now I get the VTX a little bit further out, so I get even better video reception now. So I've reduced the weight and I've overall improved the configuration. I have also changed the props as well. I'm using the 3018 props now instead of the 3016 tri-blades, so probably a little bit less weight is there as well. So a combination of all those things reduces the weight, and it does feel less heavy in the air compared to before. It is a little bit noticeable. It's not a huge difference, but you know, you guys can see the flight footage for yourself and make your own determination if you think it's worth it to make all these changes. You know, for example, you know, just getting the receiver to get better reception this way, and having and I had to do all those weird changes to flip the board over and motor remapping. You could just put the, you know, the Crazy flight controller in standard like this. It makes a pretty big difference. Now you can reduce weight even more by obviously taking off the plugs and cutting these wires shorter and direct soldering. Maybe I'll do that later. I think I might be putting these parts into something else, something a little more interesting in a future video, maybe down the road. But for now, this is the latest and greatest on the Babytooth, and here is the flight footage for you. Alright, so I just flew the 65mm Alright, so I just flew the 65mm toothpick that I just custom built with the same board here and 13,500 kV motors. And I just want to compare how this flies. I did flip the board over. I don't have as much camera angle. I have more camera angle on the other one, so it doesn't feel as fast. If I tilt forward more, I can go faster, but I'm looking at the ground more, which I don't like. But I mean, definitely feels faster on the straightaways. But the turning and everything, it feels about the same. Oh, look out for the tree. Wow, actually, I think I might like the 1S 300 milliamp hour better than this 600 milliamp hour 1S. Maybe this is just too much weight. Maybe like go to a smaller battery might be better. Interesting. Not as much video noise as on the other motors, so I think the other motors are definitely more noisy, or I may need a capacitor on that other one. You can check out the video, I'll link it in the description. It's about 1 gram lighter in this configuration with the new frame than it was before, but it feels about the same. Not a lot of difference. So quiet. You can probably hear the construction noise over the noise of the quad. It's super quiet. I imagine this is probably going to be just as efficient, or if not more efficient. And you're going to get, I think you're going to get a longer flight time on this one. If I remember right, I was getting like at least 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes, 7 minutes on the 600 milliamp hour LiPo. Definitely a little more punch out on the bigger prop, of course. And I think that this one is a little bit smoother, especially on the acro moves. It's not as jerky, and that has a lot to do with the motors. Not sure if reducing the weight some more will help or not. I could obviously get rid of the motor plugs, get the weight down some more. Ooh, almost hit the tree. But no, it's 1S, but it's still fun. I think as I throttle up there, I'm getting the low voltage warning coming up. There's no beeper on this, of course. Yeah, low battery. Coming at 3.4 volts. It is sagging a little bit. 5 minutes into the battery. Crazy. And I did adjust the tune a little bit, so I'll put the what my tune looks like up on the screen at the end of the video. I'm just using the sliders these days. That seems to be more simple than trying to mess around with all the numbers. So you want to check out my previous videos on setting up RPM filter and all that. And just use the slider settings that you'll see at the end of the video, and they'll give you my PIDs if you're running how it's tuned. It's pretty smooth. And that's the end of the battery. Oh, I might have been out of battery. Okay. Talk to you guys later.